value, with the remaining 40% on based on the software licensing. Okay, and the future recurring maintenance fees is based about on 15 to 20% of licensing fees, which implies that about 6 to 8% of new contract wins should be added to Silver Lake's recurrent income base. Okay, after the successful implementation. Okay, another investment merit is that Silver Lake boasts a superior 54.7% EBITDA margin and a 49.2% net margin. So these margins are way above its peers. Okay, some of its the comparable peers includes other prominent core banking vendors such as Temenos, Fidelity, Oracle, Infosys, as well and Tata Consultancy Service. Okay, the higher margin is possibly due to the higher better margin contribution from its software licensing business, as among its peers, Oracle is the other competitor that also has a significant proportion of its revenue generated from its software licensing. So hence the EBITDA margin is quite comparable to Silver Lake. Also, the high margin for Silver Lake is also probably attributed to lower labor costs, as it caters mainly to the developing ASEAN region. Okay, Silver Lake also operates on a solid cash generating business. Okay, and with the net cash balance currently at about 373 million ringgit. Also is offering an attractive dividend yield of about 4%. Okay, it also operates on a very minimal debt leverage. Okay, as the debt ratio stands at less than 3% of its total assets. Okay, its its capex, which the bulk of it is made up by software development expenditure, is actually less than 2% of revenue, based on the 5 years average, and also also has a high dividend payout on the last 3 years since its transformation into FY10. That yields about 66% on average. Okay, if you notice on the following chart, okay, dividend payout has actually been rising recently, and the business model of Silver Lake actually generates a very high free cash flow that's quite close to its net income. Okay, and on the chart on the right, you'll see the cash balance. Okay, the high net cash, the majority okay, there was an adjustment. If you look at the chart, okay, Silver Lake has recently sold some treasury shares to mainly the institutional investors in March 2013, as well as there was a share placement of about 100 million shares in mid 2013. So management has shared that this was mainly to boost the liquidity of its shares. So hence, this actually contributed to a high net cash. Okay. With its current net cash balance, actually it allows Silver Lakes to post for opportunities of possibly further acquisition and as well as expansion of its operations. Okay. Also, there's also increasing business opportunities with the expansion of its enterprise solutions for the multi-industries, which includes the payment, logistics, retail, and insurance business. Okay. With the acquisitions that were made, Silver Lake was able to derive synergies from the acquired subsidiaries and allows it to integrate new technology platforms into its existing software services. Also, it allows it to expand its customer base who are actually using the enterprise solution. Some of the retail chain customers, if you look at on the slide, okay, it includes retail chains such as Marks and Spencer, Robinsons, Aeon Group, etc. Okay, on to the financials. Okay, as of last end of financial year, okay, about 49% of its income base right now is actually recurring, which is mainly coming from these maintenance enhancement services, as well as the insurance processing. Okay, and the current base growth has about 12% compounded annual growth rate over the last 4 financial years. Okay, since it actually won major contracts that's worth over 650 million, which contributed significantly to the revenue since FY11. Okay. And also the last contract there was one was the contract is one from Bank Rakyat Indonesia to implement a new internet banking system, and this was through the acquisition of the recent acquisition of Cyber Village. So management also shared that negotiations are now underway to secure several more contracts, okay, including one major contract that's potentially worth about 300 million potentially, and that's equivalent to its existing project backlog. Right, over the chart, you see the growing trend if it's in its revenue base, especially the maintenance and enhancement services. Okay, the bulk of the software licensing and project services gain was mainly contributed from the major contracts that were won in 2010. One of these includes the implementation of the One Platform system for CIMB Group. Also, Silver Lake business model actually incurs a low depreciation and amortization expense, given that it's a software company that operates very little on its asset base. Also, the one thing to note is the company enjoys a low taxes. Okay, that's due to its pioneer status under the MSC Malaysia incentive. So that's actually incentive by the Malaysian government to promote the in order to promote the Infocom technology industry. So it actually grants a special tax allowance for these infotech companies. So based on our calculation, only about estimate about 3% of its profit from Malaysia was actually taxed. So hence they actually use overall effective tax rate of a lower 8 to 10%. So right now, 3 of the Silver Lake subsidiaries are still under the pioneer status, okay, with the date, with the period of the expiry of its status, okay, as given as follow. For Silver Lake Axis, mainly one of its main subsidiaries will be expiring on October 2017, and the other is till August 2014. However, we understand that this pioneer status is actually renewable for another 5 years based on certain terms and conditions. Okay, the status for Merriment Online is actually up to July 2013, which could imply that it may have expired. And even if this status is not renewed, it will not affect much on its revenue, as it's currently has a small contribution to its current revenue base. Okay, following chart actually shows a good trend in its growing net income as well as a high EBITDA margin for Silver Lake Axis. Okay, and the following slide, this current slide shows on its revenue contribution breakdown. Okay, about its main revenue source is actually coming from Malaysia, about 48%, with the rest mainly attributing from Singapore, Thailand, as well as other countries that makes up a total of 27%. Okay, its main key market remains in Southeast Asia, as you can see, about 88% of its last FY13 revenue actually comes from the main Southeast Asia market. Okay, on the key risks of Silver Lake, okay, the first risk is mainly if on the cutback in IT spending and investment by banks. Okay, however, should the banks cut down on their investment on the enhancing IT platform and implementation, okay, that will mean lower business opportunities for Silver Lake Axis to secure contracts. However, the downside is actually will be limited by its current recurrent revenue base, okay, which is mainly coming from its maintenance and enhancement services. Also, the other risk that Silver Lake faces is unable to retain its talent pools of software developers and key management staff. However, the management has actually shared that the average staff turnover is less than 10%, which is healthy at this level, is healthy in our view. On the risk of customer switching out from Silver Lake system, we think this risk is low as due to the high switching costs, okay, that banks will have to incur if they were to switch out off the current core banking system to another platform. Okay, so the high switching costs will actually act as a deterrent for the existing customers switching out from a system. As long as Silver Lake ensures continued innovation through software development, okay, and which is the expenses will be supported from its recurring revenue generation. Silver Lake will be able to retain its existing customer base. Okay. One thing to note: the Silver Lake, one of the strength of Silver Lake Axis boasts is 100% successful implementation track record. So this is a quite amazing feat, given that in worldwide about 25% of our core banking transformation activity actually failed. Okay. Silver Lake Axis also is also exposed to currency risk, right? As contracts that are actually secured outside Malaysia are mainly in Singapore dollar, or the bulk of it is Singapore dollar, either that is in the US dollar. So the earnings will actually be exposed to fluctuations of mainly in Sing dollar or US dollar appreciation against the Malaysian ringgit. Okay, and the dividends, however, are declared in the Singapore dollar. So there's some comforting sign for Singapore investors who wish to invest in Silver Lake for its dividends. Right, on our to conclude on our investment recommendation, okay, based on the to summarize the investment merits, okay, there's a regional demand for core banking transformation in the ASEAN region, okay, and right now Silver Lake has a 300 million project backlog. Okay, also is able to grow its recurrent income base with every successful system implementation, and has boasts a superior margin above its peers. Okay, the company also operates a solid cash generating business with the current net cash about 373 million, and also there's also increasing opportunities with its new multi-industry enterprise solutions. Okay, based on our DCF valuation, we are giving a cumulative recommendation with a target price at about $1.02. So mainly that's implying about 22 times forward P multiple for FY14 estimates. So given its expected dividend yield about 4%, that roughly gives a total potential upside of more than 15%. Right. So this for the conclusion of our recommended stock pick. So we're now in the Q&A session. So any question, please post your questions.
Hi, question here. May I know what is the view of the S&P? Is a major correction underway? So yes, as we have said last week and reiterate this week, we do believe that the S&P correction, S&P 500 is due a correction. Now, if one is underway right now, it's possible because we do have a bit of a bearish divergence in the daily. Right? In the daily technical charts, the MACD has a bearish divergence already. So, but that doesn't tell us how strong the weakness will be. But it is in our view that we could see anything up to 10% this year. And it is our view that that the S&P will probably have one at some point.
Hi, there's a question with regards to on the free cash flow that's mentioned in slide 19. How is this calculated? Mainly is based on the profit, the earnings, which is on the EBITDA, taking away the capex. Given that Silver Lake's operating business has a low capex, so hence you see that the free cash flow is actually very close to its net income.
Hi, so we have a question. Previously, there's a recommendation buy for Iconics brand. What is good entry price and potential target price? Okay, so our potential target price is around $45.44 based on very conservative estimates. Okay, so once again, just to reiterate, we actually estimated, we actually used the assumption of terminal growth 3%, yeah, for to arrive at this target price, even though they have been growing their free cash flow at 26% year over year, and then the share price has actually went up around 6 times since 2005. So the other question is, what is a good entry price? Okay, actually we think that because Iconics brand is really a proxy play on consumer discretionary, so if you believe our story, then I think that today this might be an attractive price at around $38, $39. Thanks.
There's questions with regards to the current trading volume for Silver Lake, which is right now it's relatively low. Our view is that Silver Lake, due to its low float of about 30%, so actually this is one factor that also contributes to the low current trading volume, and also I believe the investors are looking out for announcements by Silver Lake positive catalyst. So they are expecting announcement of winning major contracts in the current financial year. The time frame what's the time frame for Silver Lake to hit its target price? Our target price is mainly based on the 12-month outlook.
Sorry, regarding the previous question just now, the current share price now is around $37.20. So that pegs it at we have looking at 22% capital appreciation based on today's price. So I think anything that's more than 20% is really strongly attractive. Maybe in the near term there might be a very short term or very low volatility, but if you can look past it in a 12-month horizon, 22% is pretty attractive for a 1-year return. Thanks. That's for Iconics.
Hi, Benjamin here speaking. So I'm covering DBS. So the question is, when is a good entry price? Currently for DBS, our target price is $9.09 for 12 months. So at $17.34. I think as of Friday it was $17.40 closing. So this is quite a good entry point currently, with about, including dividend yield, should give us about 15 to 16% upside. So now currently, before the release of the results on 14th of Feb, I think currently the price is quite trading below our targeted value. So quite a good entry point as of now.
There's a questions on Silver Lake's PE, which is right now higher than 20 times. So whether the 22 times for PE is considered expensive, right? In our view, the stock price, it's not cheap, right? But however, there's a potential, huge potential upside that's coming from major contract wins, which the management shared is quite positive that they're able to secure several major contracts in the current FY. So hence, it is the stock price. Silver Lake still has further growth potential.
There's a question on major U.S. banks for 2014. Whether there's an uptrend with rising interest rates. Yes, that's correct. We don't cover U.S. banks specifically, but yeah, most of them would probably benefit from a widening net interest margin, which is pretty much the same story as why the banking sector is an overweight this year, and DBS is our top pick. Right? Basically, you're going to see interest rates at the long end start to rise, and the short end is firmly planted down by near 0% Fed funds rate, right? That's which will be held at near zero for the foreseeable future, and that entails net interest margins widening. Okay, so that's why most U.S. banks are rallying.
Hi, there's a question on Sembcorp Marine. Our house views that the near-term impact on strong impact on Sembcorp Marine will be neutral, given the fact that they will be shifting their Brazilian drilling rigs contract over to its Brazil yard. And because of the fact that they are Brazilian yards, it's pretty new. We expect that the near-term margin pressure will be on Sembcorp Marine. On the other hand, Keppel's Brazilian yards is more established with more than 10 years of experience. So we see O&M margins for Keppel will continue to remain resilient over the next 2 years as compared to Sembcorp Marine, which may face a near-term margin impact in the near term. Thank you.
Hi, there's a question with regards to whether Silver Lake developers they develop their own banking system. Yes, Silver Lake develops its own core banking software system. The partnership with IBM will basically imply because its software banking system are optimized for IBM's i-Series servers. So the partnership allows Silver Lake to actually get access to IBM's technology and develop the software system for IBM's hardware platform. Question with regards to Silver Lake, how the progression of Silver Lake's retail merchandising system, whether there's any progression. Basically, the last major contract that was won with its retail system was actually with the contract with the the China Hainan Airlines, right? And that actually contribute to its revenue significantly, right? But however, the revenue that's coming from the retail merchandising is still a small contribution as compared to the implementation of its core banking system, which actually forms the main bulk of its revenue. Okay, major competitors for Silver Lake consist of the Tata Consultancy Service, which is an Indian-based core banking vendor, as well as other competitors include Infosys, Oracle, and Temenos, as well as a few other core banking vendors. However, do note that the majority of these core banking vendors are actually based mainly in the US or in India, and so, as comparable to other core banking vendors, Silver Lake has a very strong customer base in the ASEAN market.
Hi, okay. There's a question on property counter asking us I guess it's like asking us about the overall outlook and asking about CapitaLand. The stand still stays. It's just that's the start of the year. The government still hasn't really come out with any further policies, but we are expecting them to come out with further policies. So over the short term, CapitaLand, the big three has not really got rid of their local residential inventory yet. So they are still looking to launch and whatnot. We believe that price for residential will be stable, with reporting very little growth. In fact, there may be a slight correction, slight downwards pressure on the residential price for Singapore. So in that sense, there is a downwards catalyst. We do acknowledge the fact that this property counters are now trying to ramp up their overseas exposure, trying to get acquire land banks and whatnot overseas. But this cash flow can only come like maybe 2 to 3 years later when they are more or less done developing, their launches are successful. So the outlook is kind of murky right now. I wouldn't actually advise you guys going to move into the property counters. It's more of having a wait and see. If they are starting to bottom out before you guys start moving in. But the main key thing to look out for is whether the government is more or less done with the policy side. The policy risk is still very, very high right now, and we expect the government to have to continue to monitor it over the next 2 to 3 months, and we do expect new policies to come out during this time over 1H 2014. So having said that, I have to say that the valuation right now is kind of cheap for the developers. So watch for signs of bottoming out, and watch for signs of government saying that, well, they are more or less done with the policy front, and they will let the free market movement take over to determine the market price. So yep, these are the two things to look out for before actually moving in for the developers.
Right, there's a questions on how Silver Lake banking software and services actually differ from its major competitors. Basically, the core banking system vendors do not really publicize the details of the banking software. So, but we believe that there's a lot of differentiation from product to product that's offered from the different vendors. Whether this what can be expected from Silver Lake if Tata Infosys is decided to enter the Southeast Asia market as well? Well, actually, Tata and Infosys are already has a presence in the Southeast Asia markets. But one thing to note about how this industry works is that once the core banking vendor actually wants a major contract from the bank, okay, so there's actually there'll be a high lock-in rate as mainly the banks will be implementing the new core banking system, and that will basically you can expect very minimal changes to the IT platform. So hence, with Silver Lake winning several of the customer huge banks in ASEAN market, so this actually is a testament to its excellent track record. So this is also one of the strength that Silver Lake has above the other core banking vendors in the ASEAN region. Question for how Silver Lake, how the contracts actually being won for Silver Lake, and whether it's known the other bidders for these projects. Basically, when a bank actually has a need to overhaul its core banking system, it will actually source for tender for the prominent core banking vendors. So this the negotiation will not be made public, as this is the discussion of the terms will mainly be between the banking customers and the potential core banking vendors that are bidding for the project. Okay, and how the contract wants will be based on whether the proposal that's put up by the core banking vendor is able to meet all its full functional requirements, as well as and whether the total cost of ownership meets the banking customers' budget needs. We understand that the banking customers will also engage consultants such as McKinsey or Accenture to evaluate the proposals that are put up for the implementation of the banking system.
Hi, there's a question on how to find Iconics on Poems. The ticker is ICON.
Hi guys, we have come to the end for the webinar. The presenting analyst for Silver Lake today is actually Colin Tan. So if there's any further questions, you can actually find him through his email. And yep, we would like to hear from you guys. If there's really any questions on it, and we can actually assist you in any other information as well. So yep, thank you all for tuning in, and yep, we'll have you guys around next week at the same time, 11:15 on Monday. Thank you.